Good evening everyone and welcome to Monday Night Live. I'm Tanja from Tanja Kraus Horsemanship and I'm really happy to be here with you because we have had a break from Monday Night Live for the last 2 Mondays because I have been away teaching the 14-day colt starting clinic, and then I was home for 2 days, and then I've just got home from teaching the 5-day Kickstart 2018 clinic. So both of those clinics were absolutely amazing. I'm just going to turn that aircon off. Both of those clinics were absolutely amazing. We had a fantastic time. So be sure to let me know that you're watching by hitting one of the liking little icons or whatever, and or commenting. Hey, good evening, Hillary. Yeah, so I'm sorry I'm a little bit late. I think I'm 1 minute late or something like that because it took me a second to organize myself, and I haven't managed to organize myself that well this evening. You can probably see there's like shadows in the background and there's the lights reflecting in my glasses and all that sort of stuff because I just was out of the routine of preparing for my Monday Night Live, so I kind of just got in here and it was a little bit late. Hey Lisa, hi, Happy New Year. Happy New Year. Have we not done a Monday Night Live this year? I think we may have, and I hope we have. Anyway, I don't even know what the date is. It's the 29th. Okay, we've done one. Okay, cool. So tonight is 10 questions with Tanja, and please feel free to go ahead and post any questions in the comments. We may not get to them tonight. I may not get to them tonight. Sometimes the comments don't actually all come through while I'm live, but I definitely read them all afterwards and in the coming days. So as you all keep commenting, so please keep commenting on the videos. Hit the share button and tag anyone in tonight's Monday Night Live that you think might enjoy watching it. Hi Karen, thanks for watching. We're covering preparing for a clinic, float issues or trailer loading issues, or trailer unloading issues as it may be, young horses, basic training, timing, confidence, trust, all that sort of stuff. So these are some of the questions that we've had come in. So I am going to go ahead and get started, and the first question I have, and I'm not going to say who sent them because I didn't tell people whether they were going to be anonymous or not, and so I'm happy to run them anonymously because I didn't tell people that I'd say their name. So I'm not saying your name for any other reason than respecting your privacy. So the first question is, last year I bought a 12.2 hand-high pony for my daughter. When I bought him, they told me that he backs off the float really fast. Now that I've had him for a fair bit, I've realised how fast he does come off the float, which here in Australia we call it a float. It is a horse trailer is what we're talking about. So he unloads himself really quickly. The trailer has a solid bum bar, and because of his size, it's near the top of his tail, so not very effective. I do the usual routine, so undo the lead rope, tailgate down, and then undo the bum bar. Late last year, after bringing him home, he shot out right after I'd put the tailgate down, and he skinned his wither on the bum bar. What do you think I should do? I have thought about getting someone to weld on lower connections for the bum bar. Some suggestions that people have made is use a bum rope to slow him down. I've even had people suggest that I back the trailer up to a dam and let him shoot out into it. So it sounds like a little bit of a drastic kind of a measure. I don't think we need to go to unloading the horse into a dam just yet. Or into a body of water. I don't think that's really where we need to go. It's also been suggested that I just spend time loading and unloading him at home. We did one session of this. So, firstly, you are definitely on the right track. My first point of reference would be to lower that bum bar, because especially now that he's actually got himself out underneath it, I personally know a horse that has done that to themselves, wedged themselves underneath it and broken their wither. And I know of multiple cases where horses have backed off the trailer and skinned themselves on that bum bar. So it can be very, very dangerous if the bum bar isn't at the right level for the horse. So definitely, number one, go ahead and get that bum bar lowered before you start doing any training. A bum rope, I don't think it's going to work at all. I think a rope or a chain is too flexible for the horse. And once the horse, especially a horse that's in that mode where he's coming out of there, he's made the decision and he's racing off. I think once the horse has made that decision, that putting something behind him that is going to give, that is going to be flexible in any way, is going to worsen the situation, and it's probably just going to give you rope burn, or the horse rope burn if you secure it, or it's going to end up in a huge big wreck. So definitely no bum ropes, definitely no backing the trailer up to a dam and letting him land in water. I'm guessing that's meant to scare him. What I would spend time doing, once you've got that bum bar lowered, I would spend time putting him onto the tailgate and backing him off it before he gets in. So let him just put his 2 front feet on, back him slowly off the tailgate. Let him put his 2 front feet on, back him slowly off the tailgate. So what you want to start putting in this horse's mind is the repetitive action of coming off slowly, or associating slow backward movement with the trailer. So the reason that we can't start with him all the way in the trailer is because he's obviously a little bit bothered in there. It sounds to me like it's a habit that's developed over many years, because the previous people who had the pony, and the pony's 18 years old, the previous people who had the pony have told you that this is the situation. So I don't think it's about that he doesn't like your trailer, or that he's worried specifically about your trailer. I think he's worried about the trailer, and just because he loads in the trailer doesn't mean that he's not worried about the trailer. Quite often, this is a classic case of horses. We can override their instinct, so we can override his bother about wanting to get in the trailer by teaching him or training him to load. And then when he gets to his destination, he's been in there for however long thinking, I don't like it, I don't like it, I don't like it, I don't like it, I don't like it. So he gets there and he goes, yes, I get to get off. And then, so even if he loads well to get into the trailer, it's potentially a situation where he doesn't actually want to go in. So increasing his confidence in the trailer is going to help. But being at the age that he's at, we need to override the training that he has, which is to, you know, get out of that trailer as quickly as possible. So starting by just putting his 2 feet on and making sure he can step back slowly with his 2 front feet. And you'll get to a point where you might put his 2 front feet on and he'll go, yep, I'm good, I can back off really slowly. You might get all 4 feet on the tailgate itself and he'll go, yep, I can back off slowly. And then once he's actually in the trailer is where he's going to start getting bothered and where he's going to start shooting out the back. But what will happen, there will be a point, say he takes 10 steps to get in the trailer. Sometime, if you stop him at each of those 10 steps and teach him to back slowly off, this is where you'll start to teach him that backing off rapidly isn't a desirable behavior. So it is going to take spending time at home, just putting him on the trailer, but starting with those increments. You might put his 2 front feet on the tailgate and when you give him a backwards cue, he might shoot backwards. So you'll have to train him from that place until you've got him going slowly, and only then ask him to get further in the trailer. What's another thing that you could probably do? Increasing his confidence in the trailer can, I don't recommend feeding them or anything like that. It can be a distraction. I've seen horses come off trailers choking, so I don't like to feed them in the trailer at all. But definitely just teaching him, even without the trailer, teaching him to back slowly from a cue from behind. So asking him to back from his tail or something like that. And teaching him to go forward off your hand is going to help, because then as he starts to back off the trailer, if your hand, like if one of my horses starts backing off the trailer and we tap them on the bum, they will change their mind and go back forward. That's how we know that the horse is remaining present during that exercise, instead of just, see, your pony is backing off the trailer and he doesn't even know what's happening from the front to the back, because he's getting out and then he's going, okay, I'm out. You know, what you need to do is be able to interrupt that thought process and say, one step, stop, one step, stop, one step, stop. And by putting him on one step at a time and then backing him off is how you are going to achieve that. So I hope that helps with a pony that rushes very rapidly backwards off the trailer when you get to your destination. The next question I have is, I have a new horse, 15 years old, who needs basic training skills like hooking on and bending and rolling the hind. My question is, how long should my training sessions be? I notice that your colt starting training days are long, but I have been warned by friends that working for more than 30 minutes to an hour can make the horse sour. So how long should I train him each other day? Does it matter? Few long sessions or multiple short ones? So first I want to comment on the colt starting clinic, because I know that I've put up in a couple of places that we were pulling 16-hour days. That is because we've got multiple people and multiple horses, and after the first 2 days of the course, basically everyone's rolling through their area as singularly, and we're also doing theory sessions and training sessions without the horses during a colt start. So the horses weren't definitely, it was the people doing 16-hour days and 14-hour days and 12-hour days. The horses were not. The horses may have gone in for however long their session was, and then they get put away while the next horse comes out and does their session. They were being doing sessions 3 times a day. I've got no problem with doing multiple sessions, but if you are going to do multiple sessions, I would keep them to about 15 or 20 minutes. But what I think is the most important thing about this question is not necessarily the time limit, not setting a watch or a timer or things like that, but quitting when the horse is still positive, when the horse is still present and interested in the work that you're doing, and when the horse has given you something that you want or picked up on a new skill. So, you know, if I'm teaching a horse, for example, what have we written here? Hooking on, bending, and rolling the hind. So hooking on itself, I would teach that as a singular focus. So I put my horse in the small yard, whether it's a square yard or a round pen, and I would go ahead and start working on some cues on the ground and see if I can draw that horse into me and get him to hook on. If that happens within 8 minutes or 10 minutes or 12 minutes, I'm going to go ahead and I can quit that session. I could leave him in the round pen and go off and work with another horse, or maybe mix some feeds or fill up some waters or whatever it is that we can do to take up a little bit of time. And then perhaps in half an hour, I might come back and repeat that session again. If the session ends up being an hour long, sure, I might quit that session, put him away in his paddock, and then come back out and redo it the next day. But if I get a really successful result in a short amount of time, I've got no problem at all with letting the horse go or leaving him where he is, you know, to really give him a reward of, yep, you've done the right thing. That's exactly what I wanted. Good horse. I'm going to go ahead and go and do something. Or just have a break in there with him. You know, if he hooks on within 8 minutes or something like that, you can go ahead and stand in there with him or groom him or just hang out with him in the middle of the pen. You do run the risk, obviously, staying in the pen, of the horse kind of wandering off on you, and then you need to restart the session. So if you're running out of time, it might be something that you don't want to risk, the horse walking away, and then you have to restart, and now it's going to take me another half an hour or whatever it is. But short, successful sessions is what I'm looking for. And definitely as my horse starts to progress through his journey, he's going to have longer sessions, because I will be soon able to use some things as a warm-up situation, things that he knows, things that keep him confident because he's aware of how to do them and all the rest of it. So my warm-up might be 10 or 15 minutes, and then whatever I've chosen the topic of today to be might be another 15 minutes, and then I can go ahead and put him away. So I guess as the horse gets better and better, the sessions will get longer, because I'm recapping the knowledge that he already has, because that gives him confidence. So I'm going to go ahead and use those things that he knows as a warm-up. So a combination of both would be my answer. Definitely multiple short sessions in a day if you're getting successful sessions and you've got the time and ability to do it. And then, after that couple of weeks, your sessions are probably going to poke up to being around that hour. You wouldn't do an hour every day. You'd have some sessions that were 15, 20 minutes, and then some that were the hour. So I hope that answers that question. The next question was about pre-clinic tips, getting your horse ready for separation from all things familiar a week or so prior to going to an event or going to a clinic or something like that. So I think really my biggest focus when I'm going to take my horse away from home is to make sure that I'm not going to make any adjustments to his feed while we're away. So I would already introduce to the horse any hay that I'm planning on feeding him, any electrolytes that I'm planning on feeding him, anything like that. I would want to make sure that his diet is the same. I would begin what I call contaminating his water, especially if you've got a horse that's a fussy drinker when you go away to events. And so what I mean by contaminating your water is either adding electrolytes, adding apple cider vinegar, adding molasses. I don't really like adding molasses because it's very, very high in sugar and it can cause its whole range of problems. But if molasses is the only thing that you've got on hand and you're not sure whether your horse is going to be a good drinker and you're going away for an extended period of time, say a 4 or a 5 day clinic or something like that, generally if you're only going away on Saturday and you're going to be home Sunday night, if your horse doesn't drink during that period of time or drinks minimal water during that minimal time, it's probably not going to be half as much of an issue because he's going to be able to drink on the Saturday morning and then again on the Sunday when he gets home. But if you're planning on going away for 4 or 5 days, especially with the heat that we've been experiencing here in Australia, and you're worried about your horse drinking, I would start putting additives in the water. Apple cider vinegar is something that's just going to make it taste a little bit different. If he gets used to that at home, then when you go somewhere else, you can go ahead and add the apple cider vinegar to the strange water, and your horse will think it's the same kind of water because it smells the same. Or hopefully there are products on the market that you can buy that are actually adding things to water like electrolytes or I forget, there's the name of something that's being promoted at the moment that's a combination of electrolytes and things just to make the water taste good so the horse wants to drink it. So drinking is probably your biggest problem, but definitely if you're going to feed the horse extra hay, which you probably are if they're going to be in a stable or in a small yard, I would want to make sure that they're going to be eating the same stuff at home before you go away. So that would be my biggest thing, diet and water. Other than that, getting my horse ready for separation, I would just be wanting to make sure that I have been spending a significant amount of time with my horse at home. For example, that might sound funny, but my horses are turned out on 45 acres. I wouldn't want to grab my horse out of 45 acres to where I literally drive past them. They're in a turnout paddock. I drive past them and check on them every day, but they don't necessarily get interaction with me. They're not getting fed. They're not getting, ridden or worked or anything like that. I wouldn't want to get one of those horses out of the paddock and take them straight to a clinic because they would be sort of going, well, where, how come I'm away from all of my paddock mates? But also, not who are you? The horse obviously knows who I am, but this is different. We haven't been spending all this time together. So if I knew that I was taking a horse away for several days, I would make sure that I had spent time with that horse to make sure that the horse was in the routine of being hand fed by me, being groomed, and had me present. And then the final thing that you need to look at if you're going to take your horse on clinics and things like that is just simple fitness. I know that our clinics run pretty much from 9 to 5-ish every day, and that's a session in the morning and a session all night. So even though we take lots and lots of breaks during the day in terms of the horses are getting lots and lots of breaks because we stop and we have lots of roundtable kind of discussions. I think that if you're planning on having your horse saddled for 2 sessions of 3, so 6 hours a day that horse is going to be saddled for, I would want to make sure that I've at least been riding the horse at home for an hour or so, or working with them, so it's not a huge big culture shock to the horse, again, to be pulled out of a turnout paddock or a retirement paddock and then being told, right, we're going to work, because that is going to it's going to cause them to be muscle sore, it's going to cause them to be fatigued, and they're certainly going to get to a point in that routine where they are feeling tired and cranky and unmotivated. So the best that you can do to prepare your horse to go away to an event for a long period of time is to get him physically fit as well. And the other thing you can do, if you've got the availability at home, is start to maybe box him in the evenings, like box him at night in a stable or in a yard or in a smaller yard at least, so at least he's familiar with being confined in a smaller space in preparation for a clinic. Again, it doesn't matter too much if you are only going overnight, but if you're going for 4 or 5 days or something like that, definitely get the horse used to it. Hi Brett, hi Tiff, just saw those comments. Hey Sandra, thanks for joining me. Abby saying, we'll do the water trek next travel. Mine didn't drink well for the first time this clinic. Very hot, bit worrying. Yeah, definitely. I mean, and know your horses. I know Cooper will drink anywhere we go, anytime, any water. He'll drink bore water, he'll drink fresh water, he'll drink tap water, he'll drink creek water, Cooper just is a magnificent drinker. Not necessarily the same issue with, not necessarily the same with my other horses. Squizzy, for example, will go on strike for 4 or 5 days. She will not drink, and I have returned home on several occasions to a horse that is pre-colic, and we need to get, obviously when she gets home she drinks straight away, but we need to get that to her as soon as we can, because she definitely doesn't cope well with being away. Hillary is saying, Bessie seems much higher up in the pecking order after going away for the 5-day clinic. Why might that be? It is confidence. I can answer that straight away. I get that comment a lot from people. When we start using the horses and riding them, and they become our partnership horse, they kind of go back in the paddock and go, you know what? One, I'm important because I've been away with with mum, the herd leader, for 5 days. But 2, we give them confidence in their body. We give them confidence in their movement. That's really cool to hear that she came home like that, because it's a positive thing. If they sort of went home and were, sort of a little bit bothered or something like that, you might think that you had overworked them, especially a young horse like Bessie. She could have got fatigued or could have got tired, but that tells me that we absolutely had the opposite effect with her. She sort of went home feeling pretty good, feeling like she is a little bit special, and I know it was her first time away on her own, so that gave her a bit of confidence as well, to sort of be away from her herd and then return to the herd knowing that she spent time away. I suppose it's like your kids' first sleep overnight or whatever. They come home and they feel that little bit more confident in themselves. So I'm really pleased to hear that, Hillary. That is fantastic. The next one, rebuilding trust. Since my horse's accident, which has required treatment twice daily and was very painful, his trust in me has reduced, especially when I need to pick up his feet. It is going to get better, ? Yes, it is going to get better. I can tell you that it will get better. And really, something that is really difficult in that regard is, our attitude when we're doing giving them the veterinary attention. I know Cooper just had a sore eye, a scratch over his eye, and I had to put cream in his eye every 2 to 3 hours. The vet told me to do it, so I was doing that. And it got to the point where he'd sort of see me coming into the paddock and be like, oh no, here she comes with that eye cream again. But even though he did express that he didn't like what I was doing, he actually still let me apply the eye cream while he was at liberty. So he was able to stand still and just let me put eye cream in his eye with no head collar. And, that wasn't an intentional thing on my part. I'm not saying for you to go and give your horse medical treatment while he's at liberty. It's probably a little bit of a silly thing. It was just because it was every 2 hours. It was so frequent that I kind of would get in the paddock and go, okay, let me see if I can do it, and the halter's here if I need it. And Cooper's my partnership horse, so he's pretty good about it. I had to be very careful that my energy was, I'm helping you, because I know that the few times that I go in there and I go, oh, I'm so sorry, and I know this is terrible, and I know you don't like it. If I had that real sorrowful energy about me, I know that Cooper was even more sort of like, hey, you don't want to be doing this to me, and so I don't want you to do it, so let's not do it. Whereas if I walked in and I went, come on mate, it's your medicine, I need to do it, this is for your own benefit, I'm helping you, it was a much more successful interaction. So one, when you're giving your horse medical or veterinary treatment, definitely always have that attitude of, I'm helping you, this is for your own good. And then if you feel bad, make sure you leave the paddock before you feel bad and emotional, because, you know, I do. I know it's for his own good, but I still feel bad about putting cream in his eye. It's not a great experience. I've had eye issues of my own, and I know that it doesn't feel very good, and it's not very nice to have fingers and stuff going in your eye. So I've definitely got empathy in that regard, but I also know that it's easy to tell a human, look, sit still, we've got to do this, but a horse needs to feel that from you. He needs to feel that energy of, hey, I'm helping you. I guess a lot of us have probably experienced that. I know that I've experienced it a lot when I pick up wounded animals, so wild animals. So if I pick up a bird, or if I pick up something and I really have that energy, or I'm holding it in a way where I'm sort of saying to that bird, hey, I'm trying to help you, that they will actually really calm down, and they get that energy from you that, okay, this person's trying to help me. I'm sure that we could all share stories in that regard. Hi, Jules. Thanks for joining. Hey, Nancy. Great to have Monday nights back. Yeah, I'm really happy to be here. It's really cool. What I'm going to do for you guys on that note is I'm heading to the States in about a week. I don't know whether I leave on the Monday or the Tuesday. I think I leave on the Monday, so I'm not going to be able to do Monday Night Live, and I'm away for a month in the United States, and then I'm in New Zealand for 3 weeks. So what I'm going to do is actually pre-record Monday Night Lives for the Mondays while I'm in the United States, and then they will just automatically post. They won't be live, obviously, there won't be the interaction, but I really want to get them up there for you. I know last time I was in the States, I really tried to pick a good time to go live and all that, and it just didn't work. We get so busy, and you know, I get doing stuff while I'm over there, so I'm just going to pre-record 3, I think it'll be 3 Mondays, maybe 4, for you guys, and then they'll just automatically upload to Facebook, and then I will be able to do the lives from New Zealand. It's normally a pretty good connection there, and they're only 2 hours ahead, so the time difference isn't so much of an issue. So the next question, how do you know when your horse is ready to start under saddle? So I can't remember who sent this question, not that it would really matter, because it would be several different things would be the answer to that. I don't know if they mean safe to get on, as in how do I know my horse is safe to mount for the first time, or how do I know when my horse is ready to start under saddle, as in just a general question when I'm leading the horse around or whatever. So let me answer it in 2 different ways. When my horse is ready to start under saddle, me personally, I have a colt starting process that I stick to. So I've got 10 ground exercises that I do with a colt. I've got 10 trust building exercises that I do with a colt. And I've got 10 building a citizen exercises that I do. So I've got 30 exercises that I make sure that a horse can do before I even think about getting on him. And then I've also got liberty exercises that I do. So there's probably about 40 things on a checklist that I need to know that the horse can perform and perform well before I would consider starting him under saddle. If you refer to my YouTube channel, there is a series that I have uploaded that I continue to upload new videos to called Building a Citizen. And those are the videos, and they are things like teaching a horse how to lead, teaching a horse how to tie up, teaching a horse how to float load, teaching a horse how to pick out his feet, teaching a horse how to get hosed, those sorts of things, which you might think, What's hosing got to do with putting a saddle on? What's picking up his feet got to do with putting a saddle on? The way I look at it is, if my horse isn't confident enough for me to pick up his feet and pick them out and work with them, why would I try and ride him? If my horse can't stand still to be hosed and is not confident being hosed, why would I ride him? All of those things directly relate to his experience under saddle, and more importantly, what my experience is going to be under saddle. So definitely he has to know all of those things. If the question is a question about just his behavior maybe, or, you know, maybe you've got a horse that's, at the very least, he has to be over 2 years old. And I say that, please, before you send me a million comments about starting 2-year-olds, I say that because I know that there's people out there that will start a 2-year-old. I personally do not start any of my horses at 2 years old. I wait until they're over 3. And when they're 3, I only put a start on them. So I might ride them for like I'll do a colt start. So I might have them in for 3 weeks. I'm not on them for 4 or 5 days, and then the first couple of rides are probably just little rides in the round pen, and then it ends up going from the round pen all the way to on the trail, and then I'll turn that horse out for 6 to 12 months, pull him back in as a 4-year-old, maybe put 100 days on him as a 4-year-old, and then bring him back in as a 5-year-old and continue on with his training. Now, I know that's not an ideal situation for a lot of people, and I also know that you know, if you put there's different ways to start a horse. So whilst I wouldn't personally start any of my horses as 2-year-olds, I have started horses that are just over 2 years old for the owner, but under the same circumstances. I've started them for 20 days. They've been at my house for 20 days, and they go ahead and they go home and they get turned out. Definitely between that age of 2 and 3, I think if you can put a light start on them and have some light rides on them, that's going to be the best outcome for the horse as his long-term career, considering his long-term ridden career between 2 and 3. If you're going to start them, definitely only put some light rides on them. Now, why would I start a 2-year-old? I have started some 2-year-olds that have been really bolshy at home, really pushy. So colts, definitely colts or stallions that are being colts and stallions, and that are acting colty and studdy, and that are going to be kept as stallions. I will definitely start them under saddle to give them mental stimulation, physical stimulation, and get them through all that respect kind of stuff, because I don't want to wait until they're 3 years old before I start teaching them all that respect stuff of being tied up and picking up their feet and being handled, especially if they're going to be a working stallion. I have done it with quite large horses, so your big Shire horses, or your Clydes or Percherons and things like that. Your big heavy set horses, I have also started them between 2 and 3 years old for a very light start. Again, for the same reason. They can be quite, they can learn quite quickly their size. So I've got no problem with putting a start on them to sort of give them an ideology of what the future is going to be. By the same token, if you've got a 2 or even a 3 or even a 4-year-old that's a really tiny, fine kind of a horse, I wouldn't start them. I wouldn't start them until they're rising 4. So it depends on the horse's size. It depends on his attitude, and it depends on his demeanor. So I've met horses at 3 and 4 years old that are really baby horses. I've started horses at 3 years old and sent them home and said, look, I've put 20 days on them, but I don't think they're ready mentally for a start, because it can be a really big thing for them. Obviously, when it's done well, it's a beneficial thing for them, but a long-term ridden horse, you need to take into consideration their mental aptitude for handling that kind of thing. If they're real baby horses, then you wouldn't be looking at starting them. Bringing them in and doing ground stuff and doing all the building a citizen stuff and all that sort of stuff, absolutely, that's all part of their start. And I would highly recommend, I start handling my horses when they're only quite small foals, 3 and 4 days old. We don't do, you might do 2 minutes or something like that, but I absolutely start to show them that, they have to respect my space, or they have to move off my pressure, or any of those kind of things. They need to learn that from the time that they're very small. So Jules is saying, what's your opinion on the best time to wean? So me personally, what we have generally done in the past is a minimum of 6 months, but most of our horses have been weaned at about 8 or 9 months. So definitely when they're eating, plenty of their own grass. You also want to wean them. You can kind of tell when the mare is happy to wean them. So when that mare sort of starts kicking out at them, or you might have a tired mare that's a good mum, so she keeps feeding them, but you can really tell that she's not happy about feeding them. She doesn't want to keep feeding them, but she's doing it because they keep coming up and asking. So the best time to wean, definitely over 6 months. I like to wean mine in about maybe 8 or 9 months. Depending on the herd situation. If you've got a lot of foals, I like to start weaning them or giving their mums time out. So you might move the foals at, maybe 6 months old. You might start moving them into their own paddock for the day. So, taking them out for a couple of hours and then putting them back in with mum, and then taking them out for 3 hours and then putting them back in with mum, and then building that to a whole day without mum so she can start reducing her milk production. Definitely if you've got a mare that is struggling to feed a foal, or you've got a really greedy foal, you want to start supplementing that foal maybe a little bit earlier with like a milk replacement kind of product. Or you can wean them a little bit earlier as well, especially if the mare's quite poor and she's struggling to keep her own physical condition on because she's putting everything into the foal. So a little bit of different kind of ideas there, but generally mine get weaned at about 8 months or something like that. What's the next question? Exercises to increase a horse's confidence around you. I have one that constantly walks backwards when you go near him. So what I would be doing is spending a lot of time waiting for that horse, because your approach to him, what generally happens is, say I'm scared of a spider and someone's got a spider, like a pet spider, and they've got it in the corner of the room. And if they pick up that tank and start bringing it towards me, I'm going to start walking backwards. So I'm not saying that you're frightening to the horse, but I'm saying this is the kind of scenario that because you're walking towards him, he's sort of going, I need to get back out of here because I don't have time to think about what's happening. So what I would do with a horse to build confidence is I would make my presence known. So I would I'd go in the paddock, or I'd go into the round pen or something like that with him. But then I might just stand there and wait, and I would wait for him to walk up and make contact. If he was really reluctant to make contact, if he really didn't, wasn't interested in me or anything like that, and he is very worried, I would take the time to actually go in the paddock and sit there and read a book or something like that, and really just be near him so he can see you as not a threat and he can see you without an agenda. Often horses will back off because we're sort of, we've got X amount of time and we're heading into the paddock and we're like, I'm going to catch him and I'm going to wash him and I'm going to do his feet and I'm going to put his rugs on and I'm going to feed him and I'm going to do this and then I'm going to put him away. So the horse just feels this power coming from you, this agenda, and you're sort of marching up to him and he's like, whoa, 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 I can't even think about what's happening here, because you've always got an agenda when you're going near him. I'm not saying that's what you're doing, but it could be one of the reasons. So definitely spending time not having an agenda with the horse is going to help build his confidence and trust. Horses are naturally curious. So if you go ahead and sit in a paddock with him, I know this person has like 100 acres. So I'm not saying necessarily go and sit with the 100 acres, because it might take him days or weeks to build the confidence to come up and be curious about you. But definitely if you move him into your smaller house yards or even the round pen, you can go ahead and sit on the outside of the round pen and he's probably going to make his way up to you and reach out and smell you and just be curious about what you're doing there. So lots of downtime. Actually, that's the other thing I was going to say about the horse that had the accident. lots and lots of time without medical treatment. So if you have to go in there and you have to give him some kind of medication twice a day, make sure you're going in there 4 times a day, with the other 2 times just to sit with him or give him a treat, or, you know, give him a nice groom or give him something that he likes, so he keeps associating you with both good and not so great things. The next one is if I recommend clicker training or food reward training. So the short answer to that question is no. I don't use, it's not necessarily that I don't recommend it. I don't use it personally. I don't use food reward training or clicker training with my horses. I will give them treats. You know, my horses love a good treat, and I'm happy to, I use my treats for stretching exercises. I use my treats to go up out in the paddock and, you know, say hello and give them a treat. That's what we do on the horses out at the 45 acres because they're not getting fed. So I go out there and they might get a treat. You know, they come up and say hello to me and I give them a treat and all that sort of thing. But I don't use it as an actual reward, as in, oh, good, you did a can and depart, I'm going to give you a treat off your back. I think that we run, there's a few different reasons for that. One is that most horses will start to seek the food. Most horses will start to sort of either push on your pockets for the food, or be constantly reaching out and touching you for the treat, or every time they do something in the arena, they'll be turning back and saying, okay, I've done something, where's my food? The other reason that I don't personally use it is because I don't really like the idea of teaching my horses kind of trick stuff in terms of their training. So I would use food rewards if I was going to teach my horse tricks. So if I have a horse that is, for example, locked up in a stable because they've got a leg wound and I need to keep them in a small pen and they can't move around much, and I was worried about their mental health, I was worried about them getting bored, I would absolutely teach that horse to maybe smile or, you know, something like that, a trick, you know, a trick that they can do on cue. So I differentiate between trick training and training. So performance-based training where I need them to do a can and depart, or I need them to do a flying change or something like that. One is something that we do as part of a training schedule, or to improve their collection or engagement, or to give them a benefit of their body, or to make them more confident, or something like that. So in that kind of training, I want the horse to be fully present, and I don't want them doing the action for a food reward. I don't want my horse to be a circus pony. Would I use a food reward to teach a smile or counting or a bow or something like that? Absolutely. I think that that's something really fun that we can do with our horses, and I think that it's something really interesting, and I think if we keep it in those 2 categories, that it can be very powerful and very nice to have with our horses. So I'm not anti-treat. I'm definitely not anti-food reward training, but I do keep it in that category as in trick for treat, Belinda just said. Yes, exactly. Trick for treat, not trick for training. Not treat for training, okay? So the next one is, how do I not get, this was asked to me over the last couple of weeks, how do I not get frightened when dealing with a problem horse or a colt? So one of the things that we spoke about a lot over the course of the colt start was the fact that when we're starting a horse under saddle for the first time, or even restarting a horse under saddle, one of the things that we're obviously very aware of as riders is that when we first throw that leg, when we first sit in that saddle for the very first time, we really don't know. We cannot know 100% what is going to happen when our bum first touches that saddle on that colt that's never ever had someone on his back before. We can't possibly know what the horse is going to do. But what we were doing, and what we all said before we got on those horses, was, have I done everything I possibly can to prepare the horse for this moment? to make sure the horse is confident in this moment, to make sure that I have tools up my sleeve that if something goes pear-shaped in this moment, I can actually help the horse through it. So being able to bend the horse. Am I confident in my ability to bend the horse or support the horse through a sticky moment if it happens? These are the questions that we asked ourselves before we went anywhere near the horse. So we call them red lights and green lights over the course of the colt start. So, you know, those 40 things that we were doing, oh, my horse doesn't pick up his feet today, red light. The horse is trotting around but his tail's really stiff, red light. The horse is trotting around but he looks like he's trotting through honey, so sticky feet or really stiff through, you know, you can imagine what that looks like, red light. If the horse isn't forward and free and all those kinds of things, I'm not getting on the horse. So one of the ways that I don't get frightened, and I'm nervous, you'd be mad not to be nervous. I'm not frightened. You know, I know that I've done everything I possibly can to prepare the horse and make sure the horse is confident. And I know that I've done everything for myself to make sure that I am, that I have the skills to be able to help the horse through any kind of sticky situation. The other thing that keeps me not frightened when I'm dealing with a problem horse or something like that is that I understand that it doesn't serve me. So being frightened is going to cause me to react more than likely in a negative way. It's going to cause me to not, if I'm spending brain cells thinking about being scared, I'm not spending brain cells thinking about how I can help the horse through the situation. So definitely having faith in my skills, having faith in a process, having faith that I have done everything I can to set up the horse. Nearly everyone that I speak to after they've had some kind of riding accident, they will say to me, I knew that I should have done more work on the ground, but I was in a rush, so I didn't. Or, you know, the horse was acting funny before I got on it, but I did it anyway because I thought he'd be right. Or any of these kind of things where really in hindsight we know that we didn't set the horse up for success in that ride. Definitely with a colt or a problem horse. You know, I'm always thinking, how can I help you? And when the horse is say a problem horse, like say they're rearing up at you or kicking or charging you or something like that, even though it's confronting for a horse to do that, my train of thought is, how can I help you? I don't hold it against the horse. I don't hold it against the horse like I would hold it against a human being. You know, if a human being approaches me and gets in my face or starts posturizing in front of me or starts yelling at me or something like that, I definitely hold it against them because I know that a human being has the ability to control their emotions and talk to me in a civilized adult way. You know, the exception to that rule is, you know, we've probably all seen small children when they get super frustrated and they don't know how to articulate themselves. They don't have the words. And so it comes out, you know, they'll have a tantrum or something like that. My thought process is through that is still, how can I help you through this? How can I help you not feel like you need to be anxious or explode or kick at me or something like that? So even though we take it personally and we think, you just tried to kick my head off, really the horse is just protecting himself. Really the horse is just being expressive and saying, hey, I'm not okay. And so I look at the horse in a way that is a relationship of a teacher-student. You know, how can I help you understand this? How can I help you not feel like you need to kick out at me? How can I help you feel like you don't have to protect yourself by lunging at me? So that's how I control my emotions when I'm dealing with a problem horse or, you know, riding a colt for the first time. But my number one question is, have I done everything I possibly can to prepare for this moment? And if the question is not, if the question is no, I haven't, you know, well, I didn't circle the horse this morning, or I didn't pick up his feet, or, you know, he looks stressed already, then I'm setting myself up for failure. Belinda's saying that's what she does at work when a client wants to chew her head off. Good job, Belinda. Breathe. Find your zen. And the last question, unless someone puts a question on here, my horse pins its ears when I ask it to do something. So this question is kind of a double-edged sword, because sometimes sometimes ear pinning is, no, I don't want to. No, I don't like that. No, I don't respect you enough to do that action. No, I don't understand, so I'm anxious about what it is you're trying to, I don't get it, so you're pissing me off because I don't understand why you keep pulling on my lead or bumping me or pushing on my hindquarter. The other side of that is, so when a horse pins its ears because it doesn't understand, then obviously I need to support him through that and just help him understand. We need to make a decision. If our horse is pinning his ears, does he not understand? Does he understand and not respect me? Or am I still treating my performance horse like a baby horse? Am I still yelling at him when I ask him the question? So what I mean by yelling is, how loudly or how big am I asking the questions? It's kind of like when you meet someone or you talk to them or you're trying to explain something maybe to your partner or to one of your kids, and you're like, okay, if we do this, and they go, I'm not stupid. You don't have to slow things down for me. You don't have to talk to me like that. Well, our performance horses get to that place, right? Our performance horses go, okay, I get it. You don't need to do a big arm movement to teach me, go over there. You just have to very lightly say, go over there. So again, I need to make a decision. If my horse is pinning his ears, is he a young horse or is he a horse that doesn't understand? So he's getting frustrated or worried about not having the right answer. If it's that category, then I need to help the horse. I need to support the horse through that. Is the horse pinning his ears because he doesn't want to do the action? Then I have to visit the reason why he doesn't respect me enough to perform the action. So why does my horse think it's okay to basically tell me where to go? And I need to revisit respect. I don't necessarily need to fix it in the action. I need to just revisit the whole idea of respect and the relationship that I have. Or am I treating my performance horse like a baby? Sorry about my big finger there. I'm trying to scroll because someone's just posted a comment. And I don't want to miss it because it looks like a question. Or am I yelling at my performance horse? It's basically going to be in one of those three categories of why my horse is pinning his ears. So that was the final question, but I've got another one. Going back to using food rewards, what do you think about using food to catch a difficult to catch horse? I don't bribe a horse. Okay, firstly, I teach horses to be caught. But if I have treats in my pocket and I walk out into the paddock and I've got the halter and I catch my horse and I put the halter on and I then give him a treat, that's acceptable to a point, because I'm just trying to change the horse's mind about him being caught. If I'm walking out into the paddock with a bucket of feed and going, come over here because I've got a bucket of feed, or I'm holding out an apple or something like that, I'm bribing the horse, and I like to treat the horse with more respect than bribery. So it's kind of like the difference between picking your kid up from school and saying, how did you go at school today? And they go, oh, I had the best day. And, I got, my teacher gave me this award because I was polite in class. And you saying, oh, you're so good. Let me take you to, the store and I'll buy you a treat, to dropping your kid at school in the morning and saying, if you're good today, I'll get you a treat when I pick you up. Yeah? One's bribery, one's reward. So make sure it's a reward if you are going to do it. Another question. Sorry about my big finger there. I don't know where the camera is because I've got it horizontally. Tracy's saying, do you remember Robbie did that to you when you had him? I don't know what you're referring to. I'm thinking it's probably the ears pinned back. Yeah. So I would have addressed it in one of those three ways. Jules is saying, great analogy. Cool. I'm glad you enjoyed it. So So that's our 10 questions, which ended up being probably about 12 or 14 questions or something like that. As I said, for those of you who have just joined us, I can see a few people. The replay will be up shortly. I will be pre-filming Monday Night Lives, so there's enough Monday Night Lives to get you guys Monday Night Lives while I'm away in the United States. So if you have any topics, please feel free to privately message me and give me topics. We've got a whole, what are we, 1 month into the year? We've got probably about 48 Mondays to go. So I probably need about 48 topics to make sure that I've got enough Monday Night Live stuff for you. I do have topics written down. Don't worry, I won't not have anything. But certainly if you want me to address a topic on Monday Night Live, please let me know and send me topics. And they can be any, send me anything, guys, because I'll address it in an article. I'll address it in a newsletter. I'll address it in a Monday Night Live. I'll address it in a thoughts from my walk. I'll address it in my, my YouTube channel, my YouTube videos. We're always looking for weekly videos to put up on there. So feel free to message me questions and all that sort of stuff. I'm glad you said that, Nancy. She's saying, are we doing SWAT this Wednesday night? Yes, our online SWAT workshop is this Wednesday night. If you would like to register for that workshop and receive a workbook prior to the workshop, please send me your email via private message. Don't put it in the comments because it's in the whole of Facebook land and little micro bots can grab it off the page if you do that. So go ahead and send me your email by private message if you would like to be a part of our SWAT this Wednesday night. It's an online workshop, so it's kind of like Monday Night Live, but it's more in-depth. We go through a full workbook. And someone just asked me a question, something about it. Someone just asked me a question. I think it was Belinda saying, can I PM you a question? Yes, Belinda, you absolutely can. I may not get to it tonight. My inbox is pretty much chockers from me being away from home for 3 weeks, but I will get to it over the next couple of days. So thank you so much for joining me. It's great to be back on Monday Night Live. I'm so excited, and I hope everyone's having a great time with their horses, and please let me know how you're all going. So have a great weekend, week, everything, and I'll see you soon.